Hi, I'm Patricia Simpson, and this is my leading video for my Principal Practicum certification. I led a staff meeting during summer school with summer school staff where we reviewed differentiated instruction for all students. I had all levels of educators present for the meeting. During the meeting, we defined what differentiation is and what the types of differentiation that we can use at a variety of levels in our classroom. The meeting consisted of some hands-on activities, a visual demonstration what differentiation looks like that we've seen depicted in the movies, and lecture. The meeting itself was highly engaging, and I feel like everybody got a lot out of it. So please enjoy. No, I agree. Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're missing a couple of friends, but they'll walk in here in just a minute. Today is not going to be one of those fun days. I'll try not to kill you with boredom. And we will be doing some challenges. We will be doing some little group activities, but nothing as fun as building our cars and our mazes like yesterday. So today is about differentiating instruction. We have heard this through many years of college, through all of our trainings, but sometimes it's good just to get refreshers, get new ideas, hear different voices on how they differentiate in their classroom. So our goals is we're going to actually define differentiation, types of differentiation strategies, and why do we do pre-assessments, interest inventories, providing choice, and evaluating our students' successes because of differentiation. And like every 5 minutes to work on that challenge. Okay, so what are the different ways we can differentiate for gifted students? Let's popcorn a little bit without looking really over at the slide. What are ways we can differentiate in our classroom?
Asking different levels of questions.
Asking different levels of questions. And what do you mean by different levels of questions?
Like higher order thinking questions, lower order thinking questions, making sure that you reach everyone in your classroom.
Okay.
So everyone can answer.
Good. Good. Nice. What about maybe at the 4th grade level? What are some different ways that you can differentiate within your classroom?
I do it with their stations. I color code their folders, and then they get their folder, and then I can put a game that is on that group's level.
Okay. So having basically the same lesson, but on a different level. Okay. What about at the high school level? We have, there's different sections. We have math, language arts. What are some of the ways that you can differentiate within your classrooms? Reading material. Okay. Junior high, what do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For math, I do a lot of open-ended questions for the higher level.
Make them really reach into their knowledge bank. Good, good.
Project restrictions for math. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. That way, your lower level, they don't have as many things that they, yeah. Yes. And what about at the junior high level?
I teach Spanish, so all of it is hardcore.
Yes, they have to really be focusing there.
All the time.
Okay. All right. Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to play, it's called triple play. And what the object is you're going to form teams of 3. You'll have an A, B, and C person. You have white paper on your table, and your team, and I'm going to assign you actually what you're going to do. We're going to look at tiered instruction, flexible grouping, compacting, learning contracts, and independent study as ways to differentiate. To help each other to complete this task, person A, after I give you your section, person A will write the type of differentiation. Person B will actually define that type of differentiation, and person C is going to draw a picture as to what that differentiation looks like. Okay? And then you will wad your paper up like a snowball. And then when I say snowball fight, you're going to throw your piece of paper. Then we will take turns. We'll pick it up. You won't look at it yet. I'll yell throw ball fight again, snowball fight again. You'll throw it, and we'll do that 3 times. On the third, you're going to open up your piece of paper, see what it is, and you're going to find a different partner. You know, if you end up with your word, you're going to find a different group that has that same vocabulary word. So we'll have one that has the vocabulary word, the type of differentiation, one that has the definition, and one that has the picture. Okay? So groups of 3. So even if you have to stretch out of your table groups, you guys, 1, 2, 3, let's do tiered instruction. 1, 2, 3, right here. Let's do flexible grouping. Can we have one of y'all do?
Go, Mason.
Come on, Mason.
Are you with us? Okay. You guys are going to do learning contracts.
Make sure you said that.
1, 2, 3.
I wasn't paying attention.
You're over here with them.
Okay.
Okay.
What, do I have it like that already?
I got it.
I think we decided we see who's A, B, C.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Y'all are also going to do tiered instruction.
You want to be C?
And then we have an odd.
I guess I'll stay with B. B. A.
1, 2, 3. You guys are going to do flexible grouping. And you two, what if y'all just do A and I'll participate too. So, and we're doing learning contracts.
Okay.
Okay? So each of you need a piece of paper. One of you will be A. One of you will be B. One of you will be C.
So some groups have the same word?
Yes.
What do you want to write?
Oh, you're flexible grouping.
Okay.
Sweet, I'm the drawer.
You ready? It doesn't matter how big. Doesn't matter how big. Oh, you're not looking. I want to know what you know. Tiered instruction. What?
Well, what is the cover code? That's a good
Do you want us to write?
You want us to write? Yes. No, you're just doing a picture. You're writing. Okay. So I can have a little picture. You're just doing a picture.
Can we collaborate?
What?
I think it is for each unit.
Because I got all my yes. I gotta grow on just the
Me and Monkey were sitting over 2 minutes.
Oh, I know, you're kidding me.
I was sitting there going,
learn it all, learn another language.
It was a boy.
See, that seems
Oh my God.
Because everything's
both looked over the same time. I was like, who's gonna get it first?
scaffolding.
Did you learn anything
That's
in
why my
college?
kids.
know how to like.
Okay, third instruction is where you take a boring class.
They know every single step. And then dance is like an actual like congregation.
Like if I had a rotation course, I would maybe give you passage with no rotation course. Check it, and then maybe I would give you an increase in the rigor. Yeah.
This one's A, one's B, one's C.
Or even the learning task, we might even do it with macaroni. Give you a blank one, or you put it on.
All right, remember, person A is writing the differentiation strategy. Person B is describing the differentiation strategy. Person C is drawing the picture as to what it looks like.
Incorporating both challenging.
You can, after your group is finished, you can go ahead and wad up your snowball.
One at a time, or all together?
3 days. Kind of like a. Kind of like a.
You're right on the back of that paper or the back of my own paper?
The white paper right there on the table. All right, is everybody ready?
We did this in a faculty. You don't remember playing the game?
I've never did this.
We did that one morning. Yeah.
What's that?
We did this in a meeting.
We're just taking action like this. It's this one.
The lead forward strategy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I missed this.
Two walls and then purple.
I'm good at snowball fighting.
Okay, so when you do the snowball fight activity, you have to set some perimeters as well because you do not want your students aiming at other people's faces. Okay, so that has to be outlined prior to your first throw for the snowball fight. Okay, you cannot aim at another person's face. Okay? All right, everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, wad your snowball. It's a snowball fight. Do you tell people where to throw their snowball?
It would be cool if everyone.
She didn't say no.
Premature shot.
We should have to aim.
First shot.
Yeah.
Like you over here have to aim for that.
Okay, so this is an activity where you're up.
We should all throw it forward so they all kind of go, you know.
We're around the room. Okay, ready?
On the opposite end.
Snowball fight!
Oh,
All right. Pick up a piece of paper that's close to you, a snowball close to you.
There's always one that gets lost. So do you?
Hope not. So everybody got their next snowball?
I need one. I'm short.
Okay. All right, snowball fight!
I need one.
All right, one more time. Ready?
Everybody needs one? I need one.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. Snowball fight.
Yeah.
There's a lot over here.
Okay. Now, what you need to do is
Who needs one?
open your snowball.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
The next object.
How do I have two? Is that possible?
Who's missing one?
You know what, I may have thrown one that was supposed to have been really fast.
If you have one that has some marked out stuff, throw that away.
That one's fine. Now,
Oh, that's hilarious.
you are going to move around the room looking for, if you have a picture, then you're looking for person A and B.
until we're all grouped up. So there will be 6 groups of 3 when we're finished. 6 groups of 3. 6 groups of 3. Yes, there's 2 of everything.
I did.
If you have a table that says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're over here.
Contract. Done.
You can't read this, it was terrible.
Who's missing your partner?
We need a picture. Okay.
Yeah, sort of.
Maybe you don't make this.
Oh, it's in this.
Flexible. There you go.
But they already have 3 of them.
There's one girl that doesn't tiered instruction.
Yeah, you're over here.
Oh.
She told me no.
Let me see it.
Great. Okay, so this activity is a way to introduce new vocabulary to your students, also builds community and collaboration, and is a good way of differentiating because you have students who know vocabulary and those who don't, but they can draw a picture, they can write the word, because you can always have your low students in your classroom write the terminology. And then your middle of the road students, they can draw the picture, and your higher students can actually define. Then you get them up moving around, and they're all learning, and they all have a new vocabulary term that they're learning. So a good way to differentiate within the classroom and get them moving around, learning vocabulary. This is totally up to you. You can keep this and put it in your binder as a reminder.
Now we have a basket shooting
I totally missed that.
I was saying.
I actually did this activity at a professional development that we did on our campus, and Joy was there, and she thought of a way to incorporate it into a station in your classroom after it's a whole group activity. Joy, do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, it was just after the whole class is done with the snowballs, you take them on, you put them in a basket, and you put them over in a station. So they can go over and they can uncrumple them and match them all together.
Yeah, another way to reinforce that vocabulary. Fun, learning, differentiated, all in one. So what is differentiation? Differentiation is the process of deliberate adaptation and modification of the curriculum, the instructional process, and assessment, yes, I'm so sorry, to respond to the needs of our gifted learners. Not just our gifted learners, but to our low achieving students, to our middle of the road students. Differentiation is good for all students. When readiness levels differ, so must the complexity of the instruction provided for our students. Instruction is customized to match our students' levels, okay, which is the most important part. And while focusing on the important concepts, teachers fashion learning to the students' need by modifying the pace and level of instruction so we can have acceleration at the same time, incorporate flexible grouping, and vary the products of learning to reflect students' best ways to learn. And when we first started talking about differentiation, that's what high school was talking about, adding, restrictions or restraints to assignments or opening it so it meets the different levels of our students. Differentiation recognizes and acts upon the reliability that children learn differently. It's not a question of a good or bad classroom. It's basically what can we do to meet their needs, okay? And learning takes place only when students experience instruction at a level of difficulty that is appropriately challenging and attainable. When we're at the elementary level, especially first, second grade, we have to figure out their reading levels. You know, we have our frustrational level, we have our instructional level, and then we have our independent level. You know, just like the zone of proximal development, we don't want to teach all of our students at the frustrational level. You know, in reading, we want to provide them with material that's at their instructional level so that they can learn those new strategies, new techniques without being so overwhelmed with the learning, you know, so they can grow upon that. So that's the importance of having it at their appropriate level. It's challenging, but it's still attainable for them. So, of course, we all know who this is. This is just a quick video of inclusion and differentiation instruction. This is how the movies depict this for us. We all watch our educational and heartwarming stories. You know, we have Freedom Writers. We have Mr. Holland's Opus. You know, so how are the movies depicting differentiated instruction? There's got to be a clip before it's coming.
Hi.
He is not
Question alert.
I'm so sorry. I should have warned you. Okay, so differentiation switches the assessment and the evaluation focus from a competition among all students to a student competing with himself, challenging himself, and pushing himself beyond his normal comfort zone. District-wide and class-wide competition focuses on how many students are behind, how far behind they are, how many are on level, and how many are ahead. That information is significant to the accountability of our learning standards, and that's how we really are graded as a teacher, you know, and which is really, really kind of sad. But that does not effectively help the individual students to succeed. You know, it's a testing measure. We have our formative assessments, and you know that's assessing the here and the now. It's not assessing how much they're going to have later and how far we're pushing them to expand. In a differentiated classroom, documentation of standards is acknowledged, yet the driving question for each student becomes, how are you doing in relation to your readiness and potential, and what instructional intervention do I use to enable you to progress toward our learning goal? And that's important not just for that time being in the classroom, but it's, like I said, it's important for their careers, their high school ventures, because they're going to get into statistics and economics, and we want to help provide that solid foundation, but go deeper at the same time. So our first, it says that we're not working. It's telling me I have to restart PowerPoint. Okay, so the first thing, differentiation strategy we're going to look at, and I switched some slides around, sorry, is tiered instruction. So tiered instruction blends assessment and instruction before initiating each segment of learning. The teacher completes a pre-assessment, and we're going to talk about pre-assessments later, to determine what students know, and then prescribe content material and experiences that promote that student's continual learning. We assess the readiness level. We know that not all kids learn at the same pace. One of the students that I have had committed for our student panel tomorrow, her mom emailed me last night and said, hey, she's had something come up, but this is what she wants the group to know. She said, it's very frustrating when you when you provide too much detail and you go on and on and on about the instructions, because those high students, they get it like that. And when you just drone on, and she's a high school student now, she is going to be a sophomore, so she's in those classes that, when you get to high school, you're grouped with your likability, generally, classes when you're in the AP classes, that kind of stuff. So she's like, they just go on and on about instructions. Give it to us quick and get out. So that was her big frustration that she wanted to relay. So we know that not everybody is in the same learning pace for learning, and that there are different tiered tasks that we can use to optimize every student's classroom experience. Tiered instruction aligns their readiness level with the complexity of the material that they're learning. There's different kinds and different degrees of instructional support and structure that we can provide when we're doing tiered instruction. It allows the students to focus on essential concepts and skills, yet still be challenged at a different level than their peers, and they're able to work individually on that. Tiered learning tasks engage students slightly beyond what they find easy or comfortable in order to provide genuine challenge and promote their continued learning. A tiered task is neither too simple so that it leads to boredom, or too difficult that it leads to frustration. Tomlinson, which is a differentiation guru, I don't remember her first name, cautions only when students work at appropriate challenge levels do they develop the essential habits of persistence, curiosity, and willingness to take intellectual risk. That's why I was saying, we have to not only teach at that instructional level, but we also have to help them move beyond so that they're not quite as frustrational and bored. So how do we plan, Bertie Kingor, and I have her. If y'all want to learn more about her, she is right here, Differentiation, Simplified, Realistic, and Effective, How to Challenge Advanced Potentials in a Mixed Ability Classroom. She, a direct quote from her, it says, tiered instruction is like a stairwell, providing access within a large building called learning. The bottom story represents learning tasks for students with less readiness and fewer skills. The stairwell continues through enough levels to reach the appropriate challenge for advanced readiness standards with very high skills and complex understanding. There isn't always a student working on every stairwell level as students progress through tiers of learning at different paces. Also, within each tier, there simultaneously can be multiple small group activities presenting different ways to learn. Some floors in the stairwell even have multiple stairways as students access higher learning levels differently. I really liked her comparing it with a stairwell, because, students are moving up. There's a landing where they're working, and then as they learn and they're continuing to be challenged, they continue to move up that stairwell. So it kind of gives you a good visual as to what that would look like. So how do we plan for tiered instruction? We ensure that the group members are flexible. It's fluid, as one group of students increases their knowledge, another student still may be having some difficulty in that area. So it's always good to have fluidity within our group so that students aren't frustrated. You know, and that starts at kindergarten all the way through high school. Plan the number of levels most appropriate for instruction. Recognize that complexity is relative. Promote higher level thinking in each tier. Every tier requires teacher modeling and support for the students to work at that tier. It doesn't matter if they are your low achieving students or your high achieving gifted students. You have to provide that modeling so that they understand what it looks like and the expectations for that. So model, model, model. And there we have some of the higher order thinking skills on a little chart for us. And some of the procedures that you can develop in a tiered activity is to select the concept or skill that you're going to address. You're going to determine the readiness level. You're going to create the activity that challenges the students, but is also interesting for them. Because if they don't have any interest in it, they're not going to buy in. They're not going to push themselves. And then it's just a waste of their time and your time for putting it together. So it's important, you know, and we're going to talk about interest inventories later. It's important to do those interest inventories, you know, so you know what your kids are wanting. Vary the activity for your lower students to your higher students with, you know, fewer skills or more difficult skills. Create additional activities that require higher level skills that use advanced resources and that technology. You know, like I said yesterday, technology is their life right now, and the more we can put that into their activities, the better they're going to be. And ensure each student is assigned a variation of the activity. Even within those groups, you can still have different levels. They can be your GT students, but there is such a varying degree of GT students. So you even have to provide that differentiation within that small group. Some of the assumptions for tiered assignments, it says the teacher has reviewed pertinent data on students' abilities. You know, look at their achievement tests. Look how they're doing on those formative assessments. Look at their interest inventory and their learning styles, you know, because that can affect how you create that lesson, that activity for them. Pre-assess your students. Compact curriculum according to that pre-assessment data. Organize instruction again into that flexible grouping and make sure that there's a clear understanding again by doing that modeling. Always have a learning objective. Always have an introductory activity and tier that instruction. And then have accumulating activity that pulls it all together. Even if, you know, like I said, each student, even within that group, may have a little bit different goal, different activity. Make sure they're able to come back and put it all together, you know, in that accumulating activity. All right, let's take about a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and we will start, we'll talk about flexible grouping. Yes, ma'am. This is my leading video reflection. I felt good during the meeting. As I was talking and looking around the room, I could really tell that everyone was genuinely interested in what I was leading them into learning. The conversations happening at the tables were relevant to the topic, and participants were eager to share their ideas. I was prepared mentally for the content and felt comfortable while providing information at the summer school staff meeting. In preparation for
the meeting. It took a while to pull the materials and to get the strategies I wanted to teach them in place, because I kind of felt like that was some of the most important things I wanted them to take away was strategies. I felt a lot went well during the meeting. I used a variety of activities as part of the meeting so that the teachers could see how they can use these techniques in their classroom to keep all students engaged. I used brainstorming for incorporating the popcorn method to share out ideas. We played snowball fight as a group activity to get students learning and moving to teach vocabulary so all levels of learning ability are met. This, I felt, was a good opportunity for them to just mingle with each other, just like what we would want our kids to do, you know, stretch our students out of their comfort zone and work with other students that they don't ordinarily associate with. By having a change in media, I was able to keep all the teachers engaged. The vocabulary I used during the meeting was appropriate at a high level. I used a lot of positive confirmation, restated each other's ideas so everyone could hear and they could bounce off of those ideas as other ways that they've used differentiation in the classroom. I was able to adjust on the fly when technology didn't want to cooperate. The one thing I want to point out is that even administrators can participate in group activities even if they're leading the meeting. I think this adds value to your role as a leader, because you not only are leading and facilitating the meeting, you are actually collaborating and working with your staff members, so they gain a level of trust and respect for you in that same aspect. I had a few areas I felt I needed to work on as a leader when providing instruction and guidance during a staff meeting. I use way too many ums when I'm providing instructions. I also stumbled over some grammar, just like I've done in this reflection. For instance, saying today our goal is when it should have been our goal today is. I would also change my introduction, telling them, you know, this isn't going to be the most fun day. I would say, you know, although we're not going to be doing a lot of activities, it's important for us to learn this information. I just felt like it needed to be really more polished. In conclusion, I was very satisfied with the results of the staff meeting. I think the teachers left with new strategies to use in their summer school classes and with their future students in their classes during the regular school year. The staff meeting did not go over details as to the day-to-day happenings, like providing the staff with details on current school events or housekeeping issues, but was a good refresher on differentiation, and I think that can happen at staff meetings. Not all staff meetings need to take care of business, but can be a fun learning environment to help your staff grow. The staff meeting was held after a morning summer school session and was actually a couple hours long, where an actual staff meeting during the school year should not be more than 45 minutes, because generally after the students leave, the teachers, they're wanting to get back to the classrooms to prepare for the next day, to get their grading done, or they have personal obligations they need to take care of. Again, another something I need to work on. I would do this same staff meeting again in the same format if it were to arise again. The content was relevant to today's students, and the strategies used during the meetings are appropriate to use in the daily classroom. As a leader, I feel it's important that we provide good instruction, good facilitation when we're leading staff meetings, and to participate, because we want to have that same level of trust, and we need to continue to learn as an administrator and to collaborate with our staff members, because as they're growing, I'm growing, and staff meetings are a good way to do that. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my leadership, my leading video. Thank you.